Happy Saturday, everybody, and welcome to the World Indian Marriage Intensive. Let me tell you, I am still on high from what happened here yesterday, and I'm just so excited to continue in that same energy this morning with some amazing speakers, amazing people in the marriage industry, amazing people in relationship industry. So let me tell you, if your heart was full yesterday, just prepare because today is going to be another transformational and epic day. So my name is Linda Array. And for those who weren't here yesterday or those who don't know me, I am the founder of Women in Leadership, Development and Empowerment. And we are the organizers of this two-day event today. And I tell you, I'm no marriage expert. That's why I solicited the best in the industry to come on here and just inspire and educate you today. But I know being married almost 6 years that, we need these experts in our lives. I know the first 2 years of my marriage with my lovely husband, we struggled a lot with communication, and it really took us honing onto Ephesians 5:22-33 to understand our roles, that we were able to communicate effectively. So, just understanding what my role was as a wife and what his role was as a husband, and where God fits into our relationship, because I believe for me to serve my husband, he must serve God first. So that was a very ethical time in our relationship. And I tell you that, just when we had that aha moment, we've definitely improved as soulmates and partners for each other. So I'm really just so excited for us to kick off today again for another transformational day. If you notice, both the chat and the QAs are open for you. So when you're listening to the speakers and you get moved, you can express yourself in the chat. Let's know how you're feeling this Saturday. So go on and tell us how you're feeling. What are you anticipating today? And the QA, if you would like your experts to respond to a question during a panel or when they're speaking, just put that in the QA so they know they have some questions there to respond to you. But I tell you, I am excited to bring, our MC for today. This is a woman that I've been honored to know, and also a member of the Wild Winners Circle. She's, phenomenal reporter, TV host, IT guru. I don't know how, journalists and IT go together, but she's all of those things. Has her own TV show, and I'm really just so honored to call her a sister and for her to MC with us today. So we have an amazing panel kicking off. We have some phenomenal speakers, and I'm telling you, we're not leaving any stones unturned. By the time you're done with this two-day intensive, you will be equipped with so much resources and information to spice up your marriage and your relationships. So I am, have I said I'm excited yet? I've probably said that too much, but that's just because my heart is so full. I thank all our speakers. I thank my team, especially Valerie. She'll be queuing for us in the back. And just so I'll go on now and pass it. So we also have some amazing giveaways. I tell you, amazing giveaways. So just hang tight, and we will be picking people from the chat to give this giveaway. So please stay at the end so you can leave home with something as well to bless you and your home. So I won't take much of your time. I'll go ahead and bring on our amazing MC for the day, the none other than Gwendolyn, the CEO of Gwen Media. Thank you all so much. Hi, Gwen, you're looking gorgeous, girl.
How you guys doing this morning? Good morning. I know nobody can answer me right now. Linda, that was such a beautiful introduction. I'm kind of blushing. If you can see that. Hello, ladies. Welcome to this amazing seminar. I wasn't there yesterday. I wish I could, but I just started a night job just because I was trying to save some money. Last year around on Thanksgiving night, I lost my mom. And so during that period, I was pregnant for my son, who is now 9 months old. So I couldn't travel. And so I just figured out, because I wasn't there, I want to be able to go back home to Cameroon and, pay homage to her I wore this dress today. My mom actually made this dress for me, and she was going to bring it here. But unfortunately, she passed. And so my family had to send the dress to me. So in honor of mom, I decided to wear this beautiful dress for all of you ladies, meeting all these amazing people on this panel. Linda, wow, I don't know what to say about you. You're just an amazing person. And I'm just proud to belong to a group of powerful, life-changing women. um, Thank you all so much for joining the program today. It's going to be amazing. All right. I just want all of us to have fun. I heard it was powerful last night, and I hope that we can continue making it even better today. So, we're going to start right away from the program that I have here for day 2. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have a number of people who will be speaking. And I think that the very first panel that we have is the couples panel. And the title that we will be talking about is How to Have an Open Mind and Open Heart in Your Relationship. And to talk about this topic, we have three. We have Jason and Angel Scott. We have Rhea and Travis Plummer. And this session will be moderated by Lakia. I've heard so many wonderful things about her. I'm excited to learn from her experience. I heard she's a guru. My goodness, I'm just blessed. Let's just, welcome them as, the kind of open up our minds and our hearts to this amazing topic. All right, so let's welcome Jason and Angel Scott.
Good morning, happy Saturday. Gwendolyn, thank you so much for that amazing introduction. And please accept my deepest condolences to you and your family. You look absolutely amazing. I definitely understand where you are, but I just pray that you will continue to find strength and find purpose in the pain that you are experiencing. You look amazing. That dress is absolutely gorgeous. I am super excited, y'all. Happy Saturday, ladies and gents. We're going to have us an amazing day. My name, as Gwendolyn said, is Lakia Brandenburg, better known as LB. I am the wife coach, and I am so super excited about this conversation, this candid conversation that we're about to have with two of my favorite couples. So as Gwendolyn was saying, today's discussion is all about how to have an open mind and open heart in your relationship. Look, people, I hope y'all are ready for a good time. I hope you have your notes and you're ready to take some notes. This chat room is open, so feel free to engage in the chat room. Put your questions in the chat room. Any comments in the chat room. We're going to engage with our couples, and then we're going to open up at the end for Q&A, and then, of course, make sure that you all leave with no question unanswered, hopefully, okay? So let's go ahead and dive right in. I got to bring my people on. I want y'all to show them some love in the virtual space, okay? Make sure you're clapping as I'm introducing them. Our first couple met back in '94 on a blind date, and that one date turned into 24 years of marriage. Together, they started Focus Marriages, a marital coaching service for seriously dating and engaged couples to effectively prepare them for a healthy marriage and to prevent married couples from living a life of defeat, turmoil, depression, oppression, and bitterness. Please help me welcome my people, Jason and Angel Scott. Y'all hear the applause? Y'all hear the applause?
Hey,
there they go. There they go.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Welcome, guys. And our next couple admits that they were not fully prepared for the role of husband and wife when they said, I do. But in their now 11 years of marriage, they have worked together to create a solid foundation and a legacy that matches the purpose they believe God has for their marriage. In 2015, this wife created Fab Wives, I'm happily a member of, a community of wives committed to love and marriage that provides a platform for wives to navigate through the glitz, glam, and not so glamorous sides of marriage. Please welcome my people, Travis and Rhea Plummer.
Hey guys. Hey LB. Hey Jason.
Hey,
Angel.
Hey everyone.
Happy Saturday.
I am so excited. excited, y'all. Okay, y'all, we're gonna have a good time. Let's do it like we normally do. All right.
Yes.
Let's just make sure we share with these folks the good, the bad, and the ugly
Yes.
of marriage. Okay. Now, I have been married, happily married to my boo, my baby daddy, Derek, for 11 years as well. And we are firm believers that marriage is what you create it to be. But in order to create a marriage that's built on trust and honesty, you got to have what? An open heart and an open mind. And there's this misconception that husbands have a challenge when it comes to being open-minded, when it comes to having an open heart. And so I really want to dive right in and get with my husbands first, because I want y'all to dispel any myth that any woman is thinking out here right now, okay? So for my husbands, let's start with you, Jason. What does an open mind and open heart in marriage mean to you? And why do you think it's difficult for men to be open and honest with their wives?
All right, thank you so much for that question, and I'm excited, to be a part of this panel with all the wives and the wives to be and everything else. But to answer your question, I'm glad you asked that question, because I think before we dive into anything, we should truly define it. So I have a definition of what an open heart is, and basically, like, if someone describes you as open-hearted, they mean that you're kind, you're honest, and you're generous. You are one who displays what we call in the Bible the fruits of the Spirit. Your open-hearted nature will show if you treat others with warmth and kindness. Now, when you also too look at being an open-minded, having an open mind and being open-mindedness, that is a characteristic that involves being receptive to a wide variety of ideas, arguments, and information. In an increasingly polarized world, being able to step aside from your comfort zone and consider other perspectives and ideas is very important. And so when I look at that, and you asked a question about the men, and Travis, you're gonna have to jump in and support me on this one. Yeah, you, brother. All right. I think the reason that it's a challenge for men is because of these twin brothers. And these twin brothers is pride and ego. And when you look at pride and ego, see, pride is a feeling of deep pleasure or satisfaction derived from one's own achievements, the achievements of those with whom one is closely associated with, and from the qualities or possessions that are widely admired. See, we rely on that moment of accomplishment, that moment of achievement. And when we don't, because when God created us as men, he created us to provide, to protect, to do all these things. And when we're not capable, or when we're incapable of doing these things, man, we shut down. And on the flip side of that, when we talk about, pride, it is often driven by poor self-worth and shame as a result of past experiences. Men feel so badly about themselves that they will compensate by feeling superior. They look for others' flaws as a way to conceal their own. They relish criticizing others as a defense mechanism against recognizing our own shortcomings. And so when we get into that mode of why we don't share, it's because, unfortunately, and this is what I want my engaged, wives to be, to understand and to look for in that guy that you're looking to marry, is that most men want to show Superman, but they never introduce Clark Kent. And see, Superman is that one that can make things happen. I got it all together. I'm this, I'm that. But they never want to show Clark Kent, because Clark Kent is the one that makes them vulnerable. It's the one that shows some weakness. And so unfortunately, sometimes we as men, because I'm gonna say we, all right, that at different times in our lives, we don't want to show that level of weakness because it makes us feel inferior to our wives. Because our mindset is, I'm supposed to provide, I'm supposed to protect, that's my job, that's how I was raised.
And I'm supposed to be strong.
Exactly. And one thing that Angel and I realized it, and I appreciate this in her, is that the more I show her Clark Kent, the more she supports me and allows Superman to take off.
That's good. That's good. Okay, wait a minute. I'm gonna get to Clark Kent and the Superman in just a second. I'm gonna give Travis an opportunity to answer that. Travis, same question. What does an open mind and open heart mean to you, and why is it difficult for men to be open and honest in their marriage?
I think Jason hit a lot of the points there, so he was phenomenal in every response. I think the biggest thing is an open mind, an open heart is, well, the meaning to me, it means that a husband is able to actually fully open up without any consequences. So what I mean by that is that if I'm going to share my most vulnerable moment or with you, then this is between us. This shouldn't come up in another discussion to come back on me or in an argument, and then you use that against me. So like Jason said, don't use Kent Clark against me when I'm trying to be Superman at that moment. You know, so I think that's the biggest thing, or the meaning of open heart and being vulnerable at that same time. I definitely think that what I'm trying to say here is that allow me to show you that sign of weakness within myself without using that against me at a later time.
Good stuff. No, so basically being protected by your woman
Right.
when you decide to be vulnerable. And we always say strip naked, but it's not about your clothes. It's about really showing you who I am. And if I'm going to show you the Clark Kent, then allow me to be him. Like, don't hit me, don't below the belt when I'm showing you this is really who I am. So in this case, men and ladies, I'm coming to y'all. I see you Angel trying to jump in. Hold on one second. I'm coming. Because I want y'all to really hear from the men, hear from the husbands, what they're saying about being open and honest in their marriages. And so how can a woman support you, Jason and Travis? How can your wives support you with allowing that Clark Kent, that vulnerable side to come out more? What specifically can they do to start allowing that to come out when you want to be Superman in return?
For me, Jason, if you want to chime in, but I think the biggest thing is just listening without without responding. Allow us to talk to you in that moment without trying to come back with another answer, a but, if that's the case. So allow us to come open, be vulnerable to you, but at the same time, don't say but. That's my wife's favorite word, but you should have did this, you know?
He calling me out early.
All right, that's why I wanted him to. That's okay. So allowing you to have a conversation without interjecting.
Right.
So listening.
Just listening.
All right, Travis, talk to us. What can we do?
What, Travis or Jason?
Oh, what, Jason?
Travis.
So what can we do?
I mean, like I stated earlier, just listen with, like you said, pretty much with an open heart, an open mind, just listen to everything and then allow us to be vulnerable at that moment. And then that next day you can actually come back and say, well, babe, I think you should probably try to do this or do that. You know, allow things to cool down a little bit, or to allow yourself to intake what I just told you, or just gave you information about me being vulnerable. Allow that moment or to yourself to actually think about it before responding.
All right, I love it. Thank y'all so much for that. And it sounds like in order for you to be open, your wife can't be closed-minded.
Right.
She has to allow you to really say what it is you need to say without always having a response. And that's what listening is all about, right? Not always having to respond with something or have input, but just really hearing your heart and just kind of like processing that. So ladies, I'm coming to you right now. When it comes to you allowing your man to be open and honest, what fears do you have or have you had with opening up yourselves in your relationship? So this is for you, Angel and Rhea.
For me, it wasn't necessarily a fear. It's just that in the beginning, when I met Jason, I believe I was pretty straightforward. So I don't think it was a fear for me. I think it was a fear of what I had gone through. So I didn't want to experience that again. So
Talk to us about what you went through.
okay, what I went through was I was married brief time to my daughter's father, and that was very traumatic for me because it was infidelity. I mean, to the point of being in our place, and so I decided that I didn't want to stay in that. And I only got married honestly because I was pregnant. That was the wrong thing to do. I really never wanted to marry him. I just got married to him because I was pregnant, and I thought that was the right thing to do at that time. So in using my own wisdom at the time, it caused trauma to my life. So I decided that I was going to end that. And I met Jason when my daughter was 2. And like I said, it was a blind date. And I just basically, we talked on the phone for a week or 2 before we met in person. But when he came over to meet me in person, I just put everything out there, what I went through, what I wasn't willing to go through anymore. And I think it's because of the traumatic experience I had with him that I was like, I'm going to be up front right now. So if this guy really likes me, after I share all of this with him, he's going to continue to talk to me. And if he don't, he's not going to call me anymore or anything. I just felt like I needed to put it all out there. So I put everything out in the open, like in the beginning, and he chose to come back around. And so I was able to be honest and open with him from the very beginning.
Okay.
Now, did I trust him?
Right.
No, but I didn't really care at that time as far as what he thought about me. I just wanted to put everything out I had been through. As far as trust is concerned, when we decided to talk, that was another hurdle in our relationship. I couldn't trust him because of my past. But we had several conversations, and he said, hey, look, you know, I really like you and I want to be with you, but you're going to have to give me a clean slate. I'm not the guy that you was with before.
Okay.
And I had to let that sink in. And it took me some time, but I began to open up a little bit more. And actually, he had proposed to me 4 months after we met. And mind you, when I first met him, he said he wasn't getting married for 10 years, but he proposed to me 4 months after we met. And I was like, no.
He gonna lock you down though.
Yeah, I was like, no, we're not doing this. I'm not ready. And then he came back again 2 months later. And I was like, okay, well, why not? He is different.
Mm-hmm.
And so he just, you know, he proved to me that he wasn't like my daughter's father and like the other guys I had talked to.
Okay.
So I started opening up.
Okay. So it wasn't about a fear of being open as far as what happened in your past, but maybe the fear was with trusting someone different, trusting to see what his motives were, right?
Right.
So for Rhea, what about you? Did you have any fears, or do you have any fears when it comes to opening up to your husband, Travis?
Yeah, I think we share the same fears, to be honest. Like when I'm hearing Jason talk, you know, a lot of times I think that women, especially in our generation, we kind of want to be seen as superwoman too. And if I'm being honest, I think my fears in open up, and I still struggle with this, is that when I open up to you, I don't want you as my protector. Sometimes what I'm opening up about, I don't want you to figure it out for me in your way. You know what I mean? And maybe that's the best thing for me, which I found in a lot of cases. Like if there's a situation that I'm really struggling with and I just need to vent about it, and maybe I do want advice, but I'm not ready for your advice right now. So I totally agree with the thought process of like giving it a moment to process it, because a lot of times the next day I am more receptive to what Travis tells me. But I do think for me, the fear is like, I got to figure this out. And sometimes I'm afraid to put it in someone else's hands, even if it's the very capable hands of my husband.
And so with us having, I guess, shared fears, whether it's from the Scott's perspective or the Plummer's perspective, where is this coming from? I know, Jason, you hit on pride and ego, but where, as far as our upbringing, why has that allowed us to get to a point in our marriages where we can't even trust the person that we're doing life with, or we can't even be open, I'll say, not trust, but open to the person we're doing life with? Why? Where is that coming from? Have y'all had anything specific in your upbringing that has allowed that to happen, or is it just being raised as a man and being raised as a woman? Where do you think this is coming from?
So I think it comes from, to your very point, and it's interesting because we come from two different backgrounds.
Yes.
That's first and foremost. in our individual backgrounds, being raised differently. Like in my household, I had both parents. And we talked, it was a Christian-based family, but we really not always did we kind of like get to the root of stuff together. You know what I mean? We just kind of like let God handle it type of thing. Whereas with Angel, it was just her mom.
Very different.
She had, you know,
Teenage
mom, you know, those types of things. And so now you have those differences. And I think when we talk about, you know, having an open heart, being open-minded, we have to understand that even based upon our backgrounds, that doesn't mean one is right or one is wrong. It's just different. And we had to learn how to accept each other's differences and work through that for the common goal of our relationship. That no matter how we were raised or what we went through, we decided that we wanted to create new generational legacies and how we go about doing things, regardless of what took place in the past, whether it was good or bad.
Good. Good stuff. Rhea, Travis?
I definitely, for me, I was raised by my grandmother and my mother, and they're totally opposite women, but I definitely took on more of the characteristics of my grandmother, even though we didn't have a great relationship. She was very present in my life, and I took on more of her characteristics. And what I realized later in counseling was that I did inherit a lot of her pain and a lot of her mistrust. A man has never shown up for her. Her father didn't show up for her. Her stepfather didn't show up for her. It was always a woman, her grandmother, that protected her. And I guess what we kind of revealed in counseling is it's almost like I felt like only you can make it happen, you know, for yourself. Like you're the only person who can, at the end of the day, make it happen for yourself. And I think that I definitely took that level of mistrust and like guarding my heart and who I am into our marriage. And that wasn't fair to him at all, but we definitely have worked through that. And it's still a struggle for me because it doesn't come natural for me to be sensitive, and it doesn't come natural for me to be open. Talkative, yes. I'm definitely talkative, but like open and just like, you know, carefree like he is, that doesn't come natural to me. And that's something that I continue to struggle with and continue to work on, because I know how it can show up in our marriage. He's not those people who, you know, may have abandoned her or broken her heart. So I can't take that as I go along in our marriage.
Good. Travis, did you want to add anything?
I feel like a lot of how you feel towards, you know, women, or is a lot from your upbringing too and what you saw.
Yeah, I think my dad had 13 kids. So, and my mom only had 3. And even though they were not married, I wasn't raised in a 2-parent household at all. So I think it was hard for me to really trust other people with things that I said, because, you know, growing up like in the neighborhood, the projects or whatever, you can't trust everybody, or you can't show a sign of weakness. And what we've learned, I guess, since being married is that, you know, it's okay to show that sign of weakness. Again, it goes back to don't use that sign of weakness that I'm opening up to you back against me at a later time. But I do think my upbringing, I did not want to be like my dad for the most part. You know, even though he was an okay father, he was in, out, or whatever the case may be, but I didn't have that structure of knowing what marriage actually looked like. So from us, I had to build, or whatever that I thought marriage was, I had to build it on my own, instead of like looking at TV or fairy tales and stuff like that. So like most people,
Like we do.
To be honest with you, but I think my upbringing was, I think it actually helped me out with not trying to be like my father in the most part, not being married or not being with one woman at the time, if that makes sense.
Absolutely it does. Absolutely it does. And I'm hoping everybody who is attending, make sure you are adding any questions, comments in the chat room. I see y'all are very active over there. And as you can see from the different upbringings, like Jason has shared, like Travis and Rhea and Angel have shared, your differences can define your relationship if you allow them to, but it's allowing those differences to come to the table and really sorting through them. Rhea also mentioned counseling. Jason and Angel provide counseling. So I think we have to understand that these are certain things we have to do in order to get to the point where we're breaking into that open-mindedness. You may not come into your marriage with an open mind. Do y'all agree? You may not come into your marriage with an open heart, even though you love that person, but it's breaking down the layers and breaking down those different barriers to get to that point where that person can be completely vulnerable and open up to their spouse. And so speaking of being vulnerable and opening up to your spouse, let's talk about some of these challenges that you all have had when it comes to marriages. What is one of the greatest challenges that you've overcome in your marriage, and how have you together overcome it? Let's start with you, Jason and Angel.
So,
For me,
go ahead.
I think I'm gonna go first.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
For me, I can be very stubborn. One, I'm an only child. And again, like you said, coming from your upbringing, rejection and different things. And I think the rejection, I didn't realize until I got older, but the rejection to me, you know, my mother never talked bad about my father, but I still felt rejected because he wasn't in my life. Mm-hmm. So I think the rejection caused me to be stubborn to a certain point. And even now, I can still be stubborn. I was stubborn just last night. So like stubbornness for me has been a challenge, but I have to say that because Jason is a person who likes to bring about resolve and talk about things, it helps me to overcome when I get like that. And then I also have these moments where I think, I don't want to be like my family, just like Travis said. Like the things that come up in me because of the environment I grew up in, I automatically have this check to say, you don't want to be like that. That's how you grew up. You're doing something different. So that it's like a self-check that causes me to come out of those moments when I can be angry. I could be stubborn because my family, they would fuss. My family was dysfunctional. I'm just telling you. My family is dysfunctional. His family is not like that. So he would help me to overcome those things by having conversations with me.
Very nice.
We take a dose of our own medicine, you know what I'm saying? And I'll use our personal experience, you know, as a teaching point right here.
Yes,
so even in preparation for this, you know, today, right? Mm-hmm. We started out, you know, early in the week, you know, Angel, she's the type that is very proactive.
I'm a planner.
She's a planner, and well in advance, she wants to kind of get things together and what are we going to share and what's the outline, that type of thing there. Whereas for me, I grew up and maybe it came from sports. I can pivot at the drop of a hat. You know what I mean? Last minute, I can make it happen, and that just burns her up. You know what I mean? So for this right here, right? She was like, well, let's prepare. When we going to prepare for this? So we started last Tuesday. We're going to pick up on Thursday, and we didn't do Thursday because I don't know if you guys saw our Instagram. We took a burger drive, and that whole burger drive just took us through the night. So then yesterday, we was finalizing and fine-tuning things, and she was just like, nah, see, I can't function like this. And I was in my zone.
Real talk.
I was in my zone. I'm putting it together. I got it all together because we talk about this stuff so much. Yeah. You know, so using our lives, you know, as far as, you know, open-minded and everything else like that, and open heart, I had to also to be considerate of what's important to her.
And how I process.
And how she processed things. Yes. And that was one of the key learning lessons that we experienced this week is, okay, Jason, I know you can do those things, you know, at the drop of a hat, but be considerate of your wife so that she can be the best that she can be when she needs to be it. Mm-hmm. And so for me, my takeaway from our lesson learned, our experience, you know, just the other night was just be mindful and compassionate that she needs much more time and give her that time.
Yes.
So that you all can provide the necessary information in a way that makes her feel comfortable.
Love it.
So in that, the whole lesson learned is being selfless.
Oh, so did the word selfless come up again after 24 years of marriage?
The word comes up again after 24 years.
Message, but this is what I want everyone who is attending this conference to understand. Like, just because you've been married 24 years doesn't mean you got it all figured out. right? So allow your marriage to continue to teach you things about each other. Remain a student of your spouse. And I love how you came to that moment. Now, look, I'm pretty sure Jason and Angel in the beginning, y'all ain't come to that resolution that quick. It took y'all 24 years to the point where y'all can.
You know what? I have to say to you, LB, that the church that we grew up in, our marriage grew up in, was big on marriages. So honestly, like when people say they've been married for 24 years, and they say, but the first 12 years was this, and the first 12, you know, we fought. I can't say that we did that. You know why? Because we went through counseling, like you said, before we got married. Then we also had monthly, it was called Communication Lab.
Nice.
Monthly sessions. And I tell Jason, and I told him at year 10, I said, I think if we didn't have that, I probably would have had a pot try to hit him upside his head or something like that, you know, because, but we had accountability the whole time. So even though we did have moments of getting mad at each other and stuff, we couldn't stay there long because we were accountable to go into those sessions every month. So I think that's what really helped us. No, we're not perfect. We still get mad at each other. And I tell people all the time, like when we share with couples, it's like, don't focus on the people, take the principles, because the principles are what work, because we're imperfect people.
Yes, yes, but y'all are perfect for each other. And we had Kimberly in the chat room said that you all were proactive. So being proactive in your marriage is definitely, there's a benefit. All right, Travis and Rhea, one of the greatest challenges you've had to overcome in your marriage, and how y'all do it?
If you would have asked me this question like last year, I would have probably like figured out what situation, because it's been a few situations that we've had to overcome. But I would say, to be honest, like the biggest thing has probably been like releasing expectations. Like Angel, I am a planner. When I said I do, the picture of us into forever was laid out. Right. And I'm telling you, even as we're growing older together, I'm like, listen, you going off script, Travis. I need you to get back on my script. You're not supposed to be acting like this. We're not supposed to be doing this no more. We're supposed to be doing this. Like,
so much, Jason. I'm like you. I'm not a planner at all. I can just pivot at the drop of a dime and make things happen. And she doesn't like that. And like you said, and I just took away, and this is the first time I ever heard this or was able to take this in and hear it clearly, is that just because I can pivot doesn't mean she can, and that brings extra stress on her. So I'm glad that you did, because I just took that in. Never had the chance to really listen and take that in.
Yeah.
Until just now.
Like even when the pandemic started, you know, when we all went into 2020, we had all of our goals and plans laid out.
Yes.
And from March to maybe May, I was in a depression. Like he was, listen, let me give her moment. What do you need from me? Because I just could not get over the plans. I couldn't get over the plans. Like, what about the plans? What about the plans? When are we going to get back to the plan? Yes. So that's a big thing for us, releasing expectations. He doesn't have any, mine are too high. So us meet in the middle.
Right.
It's somewhere in the middle.
Right.
Absolutely, absolutely. Something you said, Rhea, that's pretty funny. I think all women have scripts of how this whole thing called marriage is supposed to go. But what we forget to realize is that we're writing the script, we're writing the characters in, and they don't get to see the script. So we're just wanting to play out this plan that we created. So, all right, y'all ladies, wives and wives to be, y'all need to make sure he's a part of the script writing too. Make sure he's in that session. Because this is just as much as our husband's marriage as it is ours. And like you said, Rhea, you and I can both agree on that when it comes to expectations. I had unrealistic expectations and I would get disappointed. I would grow resentful of my husband because of what I had in my mind. It wasn't his fault. Right. You're the one that keep watching Love Jones and all the black love romantic comedies and coming up with your own conclusions of what this thing is supposed to look like. So thank y'all so much for sharing how y'all have overcome even in 11 plus years of marriage and then 24 years of marriage. So let's talk about something. I think you hit on this earlier, Angel. I want to pivot. I could pivot if you kind of plan to pivot. Something you talked about earlier is the word infidelity. And we have a lot of marriages that actually experience infidelity. And if you are one of those couples who have experienced that, what advice do you have so that other couples who want to save their marriage, like they want to make it work, but the thought of infidelity or the thought of the, cheating or whatever it was that happened, it just keeps holding them back and keeping them stuck in a place of no return. So what advice, I'll start with you, Angel and Jason, what advice do you have for that couple who want to make it work, but it is real challenging because of the distrust that happened?
Okay, so I'm gonna say the first time when I was married to my daughter's father for a minute, I wasn't saved or any of that stuff. I just was doing everything off of Angel's wisdom. So I left. That's what I did. But now being born again, I met Jason. We, go to church together. He was already in church. I was in another church, and then we decided to get together and go to the same church. About year 7 for us, we had a situation which was an emotional affair with him doing work at work and working with someone in another business. And I found out about it. And, the first thing I would think to do was to leave, because that was my way of doing things. I cut people off in a second, and thank God for renewing my mind as it relates to that, because he gives everybody else a second and third and fourth chance. So I had to really realize that our relationship wasn't just about us. It was about our children. It was about the other innocent couples that was attached to us at the time. So I had to do things differently. And for me, Jason reached out to our pastor, and our pastor asked us to come over. Our pastor talked to him, prayed with us, dug a hole in him, and some more. Then his parents are pastors as well. They did the same thing. They had him come down on the Eastern Shore, slayed him at the altar. And in the meantime, I was at home, like talking to my 2 close girlfriends, and I was like, this is the situation. I need y'all to pray for me. So I had a strong group, 2 girls, strong group who knew what was going on. When I had my tough days, I would call them, because even though you decide to accept and offer forgiveness to your spouse, you still going to go through in your mind, and you have to find a way to deal with that. So I had my girlfriends that I would call and say, hey, I'm too weak to pray for myself today. Can y'all pray for me? I had a song, I had a scripture. Those are the things that helped me to get through. But it also took for Jason to make some adjustments on his end, and he'll share what he had to do on his end. But as far as building trust back up, it took consistency over time for me to see that he actually meant what he said. He wanted the marriage, and that he had to do some things differently and on a consistent basis for me to accept, like, okay, he's serious. So Jason, you can share what you had to do.
Yeah, and I think, and before I even do that, just really quick, because some people probably say an emotional affair, like, what's the difference, from an affair? An emotional affair is, okay, you may not have been physical, but mentally you were there. You know what I'm saying? You gave time, you gave effort, you gave conversation, and that was inappropriate in our relationship. And I think also too, the thing that really got us back, and to those who may have been experiencing any infidelity in any area, any type of infidelity, that one thing that has to be done is you gotta learn how to trust God. Mm-hmm. And trust God to protect your heart as an individual. Mm-hmm. One scripture that comes to mind is Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5 through 6. It says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not to your own understanding, but in all your ways acknowledge him, and he'll direct your path. He'll show you what you need to do. He'll show you how to get through this. All right. But then also too, what had to happen is for us, to Angel's point, I had to, one, hold myself accountable. I had to remain consistent. But the other thing that I did too was my talk was different. See, I spoke by faith our marriage back into the right place where it needed to be. See, I wasn't consumed about how Angel was responding, because I would tell her that we're still going to fulfill the purpose of our marriage. She's like, how are you going to do that? You going to do it by yourself? I'm not fooling with you no more, this and another. And I would literally, and this is no joke, y'all call me spiritual, whatever it is, but we still married and we still blessed. But I would literally lay hands on her pillow and on her side of the bed when she wasn't there. And I called into existence what I wanted to happen for our relationship. So if I had enough to put us in that situation, I also too had enough to get us out of it.
All right, Superman and Clark Kent. I'm talking about get your woman. I love that. Thank you so much for that. Go ahead. Did y'all have anything else to share, Jason?
And I just vowed never to allow that to happen again. And I remain consistent in that from that point until where we are now and beyond.
Love it. And I wanted to ask that question specifically to you all because I know that that's something that you were open heart and open-minded to talk about. And so I'm going to pivot to the Plumbers. And I just want to ask one more question so we can open up a Q&A so that we don't run out of time. For this question for you guys, let's see, to a couple who wants to be married, and they're right now in the, I guess, engaged stage, they want to create a strong foundation because that's something that you all had to work on in your 11 years of marriage. What are some of the key steps or the key things that they need in order to create a strong foundation in their marriage so that they can build from it? So this is for you, Rhea and Travis.
Honestly, I think that my friend and I talked about this one time. You know how when you are in the dating phase and you're engaged, you kind of ask questions and it's like, here's the questions that I want to ask you to see if we're compatible. And I feel like, you know, like they say, like your best representative is, you know, showing its face in that stage. Even if you're not trying to put on an act, you know, you are trying to be your best self. So what I found helpful, and even after marriage, when we realized we had to create a strong foundation, is like, you know how you go on those job interviews and they want to know if you really about this job and ask you situational questions. So like putting you in a situation. So even if it's something as opposed to how many kids you want, like how do you picture after a hard day of work and you come home, like, what do you picture me doing? You know, and maybe his response, if he pictures you, you know, having a full meal prepared and whatever, then maybe you guys need to talk about gender roles and like what you see your role as in terms of being a housewife versus a working wife. Yeah. Like things like that. I feel like situational questions are really important. And I think that the biggest mistake that we made was that we did premarital counseling just to get married. Like it was like, okay, it's on the list. We got to do this. Let's go on to the counselor. So we can go on and get married. Yeah. And I think that was the biggest mistake that we made. And later on, I did a little bit of wedding planning and I had a friend, and I don't agree with this, but it's better than what we went through. Her pastor basically designed the program for you to fail. Like, he's like, I'm gonna put the pressure on y'all. Y'all can make it through what I'm about to put y'all through, like a pre-marriage boot camp. Yeah. Then I'm gonna give y'all my blessing. And I'm like, that's kind of rough, but it's better for creating the foundation than what we had, which was just checking it off, attending our counseling, not doing the homework, not coming home and really talking about what happened. We're just literally going through the motions. So I think it's so important to have premarital counseling, to talk about what your expectations are. And like you said, to write the script with your husband. And be your coach.
He's gonna play a part. I mean, if he's gonna play a part, don't leave him out, right? No, and you know what, Rhea, I love what you're saying as far as with you and Angel being planners. You know, this pandemic wasn't on anybody's vision board this year.
No.
Like, I know this pandemic wasn't on your vision board, but I can guarantee it's giving you vision. And yes. So you think about what you need to do as far as situations like this. Like, we weren't planning for this to happen, but your marriage has to withstand. How are you going to not just survive, but thrive through job loss or through, you know, your children being home every day? Like, that's real life. And that's the part they leave out in the movie. Right. That's the part we don't get to see. And so being able to, like you said, have the conversations, the real core conversations that's going to help you get through, I think you're positioning yourself to win. So we're going to go ahead and open up. Thank y'all so much, everybody, on this panel. Y'all know I told y'all my friends are bomb for this amazing convo. We're going to go ahead and open up the Q&A for the panel. And I have a good question, and anybody can answer this if you feel led to. How did you guys keep the fire burning even when the excitement is no longer the same?
Good question.
Anybody?
One word.
What? What's the word, Jason?
Be intentional.
Mm-hmm.
Angel and I are very, very intentional. I mean, it's been 24 years. We have 2 kids. We was in ministry. We was in sports. we coached, we was a mom, cheer mom. We did all that. But we were intentional about our relationship, and we held our marriage as a priority over everything else.
So intentional.
We had some young teenage girls at our church, 3 of them to be exact, and we would rotate them, but we had date nights every month when they were younger. And so, of course, now that they're gone, we have date night every week. But when they were little, we had date nights at least once a month. And we used those teenage girls who are grown now, probably married. 30-something years old and married.
I mean, I know y'all ain't perfect, but I mean, y'all just sound like y'all just got it together. But what about when you don't want to? I talk about the intention is there, but you don't want to. Talk to that.
So, perfect. So even with us being intentional, there are many times where Angel may say, nah, I don't feel like doing that. You know what I'm saying? Like understanding our needs or each other's needs. But again, to what I shared earlier is, but I'm still considerate of her needs. And sometimes I know for Angel, I'll be transparent even when it comes to sex. She knows that's important to me, but she's not as sexually as active or enticing as I am.
No,
but
I'm not spurred. I'm not spurred a moment.
She got planned out. Help me out. You know what I mean? But
no, I'm right there with you, man.
However, Angel does. She will tell me. She goes, "Hey, better come on upstairs."
Right. I'm about to go to bed.
I would drop an NBA playoff game. I'd drop a football game, and I'm where I need to be for that moment. So that part of it is what I'm truly saying is that we're intentional, even sometimes when we don't feel like it.
But yes. I would say, because I'm not the spur of the moment person, he is, even with activities and things. But what I remember and always comes to mind is that this is not just about me. I am not the spur of the moment person at all. I'd be like, no, you can go ahead. And then I'd be like, you know what? That's not right. He wants to do this with me. So let me get myself together, whether I feel like it or not, and go with him.
Sounds like you're being selfless again.
Yeah. And sometimes it's just, maybe I'm not having a good day, and I just be like, you know what? It's okay. You could go without me. But for the most part, I do adjust and be like, okay,
yeah,
let me go with him because he want to be with me.
Y'all just so grown and sexy. Rhea, Travis,
I
you keeping that fire burning now.
I totally echo that. I feel like a lot of times, when you get married, you don't realize when you say I do that some days you just not gonna feel like it. Like some days I just don't. Like you don't realize that. And that's why I know for us specifically, and you guys know that because you're in the Fab Wives community, it's about staying committed to love and marriage and proclaiming your commitment. Yes. Knowing that some days it's not all glitz and glam. Like knowing that some days you're not gonna feel like it. But just like you want your spouse to pursue you, you in turn pursuing you as well.
Yes.
Tough. Sometimes you give each other grace. If you're going through a rough season mentally, we are going through a lot in the pandemic right now, but you still have to it's about stepping outside of yourself. And that's what the key to marriage is. It's not just about you. Like sometimes you have to step out of yourself for what's best for you guys together, and just to put your spouse as a top priority, because they need that just as much as we need to feel like their biggest priority as well.
That's good, Rhea.
Wow, I think the biggest thing I try to be consistent with not reliving the past, but those times before you got married, like when you was really into a person and you'll call them up, hey, let's go out to eat or let's do this at the spirit of the moment. You was more inclined of doing that at that time because you wanted to be with that person. So I try to bring it back to that point and try to be like, hey, babe, let's just go out to eat. Well, and then she'll try to be a planner. Well, what do you want to do? Listen, let's worry about that when we get in the car. And I try to keep it fresh, try to keep those things and trying to try new things, new restaurants, things like that in order to keep the fire going somewhat.
Love that.
Have to be, and Angel can echo this too, because as planners, I will be honest, years ago when he would call me like, let's just do this, I'd be like, do what?
Right.
That's not on the schedule.
Right.
Gotta be open, Rhea.
Mhm.
I'm
Right.
like, but now I've gotten there. Like, I'm like, you
Mhm.
didn't give me 24-hour notice. You have to be open to that. Like,
Mhm.
when they want to be spontaneous, you have to do that. And then sometimes I have to be spontaneous, no matter how uncomfortable that may feel. I know that he needs that too. Like, he needs some spontaneity. So even if it's down to the point where he don't know it's been planned, it's
Surprise to him.
spontaneous. That's something that he loves. So I think that is so important for, like I said, stepping outside of yourself and what makes you feel comfortable. Like, marriage is not about your comfort level. Like, in some ways, I kind of feel like marriage is about making you feel uncomfortable, because
Yes.
I know that I wouldn't have grown so much as a woman if I wasn't married to him.
Absolutely.
Planning my whole life away.
Right.
And doing nothing. And
Right.
have all the plans, but no execution, right? I love it.
Exactly.
All right, they want to keep it hot and spicy with these questions. Let me see. What role did intimacy play in your marriage, and how did you keep it fresh and juicy? I guess this is kind of like being open-minded. Y'all want to talk about sex? Is that what it is? Can y'all
Right.
touch on the
Say
importance of sex
Y'all
in your marriage?
gonna think we crazy, but this is how intentional we have to be. So after we had our son, he had some challenges, which ended up being asthma. So I was focused on him, more so than focused on having sex with Jason. And so we had to go talk to one of the pastors, and he was like, you know what? Because of this challenge, you're gonna have to be very intentional. You're gonna have to schedule it. So we had to use a schedule. We had to put it on the back of the door in the bedroom. We had to pencil in days that I was going to make myself available to be intimate with my husband. I had to be that intentional about it because I was so focused on my son's health challenge at the time. And when we tell people, they're like, really? Like, yeah, we had to do that until it became a rhythm again. And once it became a rhythm, then we got rid of it. And so now we are 24 years in, and I done made Hump Day Wednesdays Hump Day this year.
I love it. No, that's really good. And let me just also add, scheduled sex is not boring sex. Let me just go ahead and put that out there. We're grown folks. And I know I've had to change my marriage mindset when it comes to scheduling sex. It's really mentally preparing yourself so that you can show out for your man. That's what it's about, especially if you're a planner or overthinker.
That's exactly.
It gives you an opportunity to really say, okay, Wednesday is going down. Wednesday is going down. And you are mentally preparing yourself for that moment so it can go down. That's all. I know they don't show that in the movies.
Amen goes right there.
Amen. All right, y'all. Look, we are actually getting close. Did y'all want to add anything, Rhea, Travis?
I will just say, like, as you grow in marriage and you start tacking on the years, just make sure that you're checking in and communicating a lot. So, like, we try new things, but we also ask, did you like that?
Yes.
Yeah, you do.
I gotta make sure. And then don't forget about the romance. So, like, sometimes I'll be honest, like, life can get hectic and you kind of forget about that part, just trying to get to the release and the intimacy. But don't forget about the romance, because that's what makes you feel special. That's what makes you feel so connected. And, like, that's what, like, makes it so much better.
Keep flirting.
Yes.
Flirt.
Thank y'all so much. I hope that y'all found those answers helpful. I know I have, and it's confirming a lot of things. Before we wrap up this panel, what I want to do is end with my ladies, because I began with the husbands. I let y'all go ahead and be the head. But ladies, now that we know, Rhea, Angel, what our men have said about being open-minded and having an open heart, what can wives and wives-to-be do to create an environment for their spouse to be open-minded and have an open heart? So this is for Angel. Real quick responses, Angel and Rhea. Let's go.
I would say create a no judgment zone.
Yes.
How?
By just listening and letting them know, baby, I'm glad you shared that with me. Thank you. Like, how can I help you in this area? If it's an area of weakness, how can I help you? What do you need me to do to help you in this area? Like, just make yourself so available that they just feel so comfortable and they just continue on pouring out their heart.
How does the body language look though, Angel? Talk to me about that.
Oh, it's a physical touch.
Okay.
So it can be holding hands, it can
Okay.
be touching his leg, it can be touching his back, just,
Touch
you
my
know,
head.
knee to knee.
Okay. No, that's good. Good tips. All right, Rhea?
I would say that the biggest thing for me with Travis is that he has to know that I feel him. Like, I feel you, you know what I mean? Like, if he's opening up to me and I'm like, I don't get that. Like, I don't understand what the problem is. Like, what's the dilemma? Just da-da-da-da-da. Then that is shut down. And he's coming to me for a minute about anything. But if I'm empathetic and I'm like, yeah, I get that. Like, okay, or not, well, break that down to me. Like, the posture is different. Even if I don't get it, he still knows that I feel him if I say, wow, break that down to me. Tell me a little bit more. How do you feel about that?
Yes.
Like, me showing a genuine interest in what he's opening up to me about is so important, because if you act like you're already, like Angel said, coming with a judgment or making them feel like they're weak for coming to you, they're automatically going to shut down, because no man, no person wants to feel weak, and no man, no husband wants to feel weak in their wife's eyes.
Yes.
It's so important for letting them know, I feel you. Like, I'm here. I understand you. I connect with you, and I want to connect more.
And if you want him to open up, it sounds like we need to open our ears and close our mouths. And on that note, we're going to pivot until we're going to go ahead and let you all share with everyone how they can get connected with you, stay connected. This has been a phenomenal discussion. I hope everybody in the chat room, I see y'all going crazy, have enjoyed this. Thank y'all so much, my friends, for just being so open and honest on how we can help others to create better marriages, healthier marriages, and just more satisfying marriages. So Jason and Angel, how can we stay connected with you on IG?
They can follow us at Focus Marriages on IG. And
okay, and Rhea and our Real Housewife of Charlotte.
You can definitely connect with us on Instagram at Fab Wives. We also have a very fun Facebook group. It's a private group called Fab Wives Community, where we just have a load of fun in there. It's transparent and we are holding wives accountable. And for the wife who's intentional about living her best Fab Wife life and seeing her marriage grow, we do have a membership program. It's called Fab Wives Committed to Love and Marriage. And you could definitely learn more about that as well by visiting fabwives.com.
And Jason and Angel, you all are doing coaching and counseling as well. So go ahead and tell everybody about that.
We provide coaching for seriously dating, engaged, and married couples. So we're offering a free 60-minute also giveaway during this virtual session. So much success and congratulations to the person that's selected to join with us. We look forward to meeting you.
Love it.
And
Congratulations.
our website is www.focusmarriages.com. We also have a Facebook group. It's a private group and it's called Focus Marriage Group.
All right. And Kimberly said, Jason and Angel are the best marriage coaches in the DMV. That is a wrap for us today, y'all. Thank y'all so much. Y'all give yourselves the virtual hand clap of praise. We did it, y'all. Thank y'all so much. We appreciate you. Linda, I think I'm turning it back over to you, baby.
Thanks, LB. You did great.
Yes, you did.
Thank you.
All right. Oh
There you go.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I feel pumped up, guys. Thank you so much for sharing. Oh my goodness. It was juicy. I was the one that sent that question for the juicy stuff, because it's very important, right? We wanted to know from you guys who've been there for so long, what you've been doing to keep it going, to keep that fire burning. And wow, so amazing. Intentional. I like that. Freaky Wednesdays. That's cool. I think we should adopt that one, because I would say that I'm one of those people who would always get so busy. I'm a journalist and producer, and I got into IT. So right now I work in IT and I get really like consumed all day. Sometimes I have projects that just, they weigh me down. And then, you know what, when the husband comes home and he's like, can something happen? And I'm like, I don't think so. Maybe. You know, and I know that sometimes it's always been an issue with that. And he'll be like, you've changed. You're not the same person anymore, you know? Since we got married, you don't, you're not that bubbly anymore. And I mean, yeah, it's weighing you down when you're a wife, you're working and all that. So I really wanted to hear from you guys, and I really thank you guys for that idea. I think I'm gonna pick up that one. Yeah, we should schedule that. I think it can work. Thank you all so much. We've learned so much from you guys. Thanks.